2022, which is panel discussion. I would like to invite all the dignitaries to the stage. I welcome Manoj Kumar Gupta, CEO TP Renewable Microgrid, the Tata Power Company Limited Shatabdi. Mr. S. Sudhakar, Vice President, Corporate Secretarial, Reliance Industries Limited. Dr. Vivek Prakash, VP and Head, CSR, Jubilant Ingrevia. Mr. Prabhakar Sinha, Wash Specialist, UNICEF Bihar. Professor Dr. Rana Singh, Director, CIMP.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to have with us 4 juggernauts from the domain of business, CSR, and allied areas. Let me have the privilege of introducing our panel members. I'm blessed to have with us Manoj Kumar Gupta ji, CEO of TP Renewable Microgrid, Tata Power Company Limited. Big round of applause for him. We have with us Mr. S. Sudhakar, Vice President, Corporate Secretarial, Reliance Industries Limited. Big round of applause for him. We are also blessed to have with us Dr. Vivek Prakash ji, Vice President and Head CSR, Jubilant Ingrevia. And our dear friend, philosopher, guide, and mentor for all of us. He is a specialist in the WASH domain from UNICEF. He is Mr. Prabhakar Sinha from Patna. Big round of applause for him as well. And at the outset, I would like to thank UNICEF and Prabhakar Sinha ji in general, and the state head, Madam Nafisa Binte Shafiq ji. She has also consented to be the chief guest tomorrow. And we have been working very closely with UNICEF on the dimensions pertaining to WASH and allied dimensions, and also BSVP Bihar Swachh Vidyalaya Puraskar program. So thank you very much, sir, to all of you for being with us. It's indeed a pleasure to share the topic for today's panel discussion. It says, a strategic approach to CSR, focusing on sustainable development. Strategic approach to CSR focusing on sustainable development. So I think we'll have 2 rounds to start with. First rounds, we would have free flow of thoughts coming from our eminent panelists who have devoted many years and decades in the domain of CSR and other allied areas. So we'll start from this side. May I have the pleasure to invite you, Prabhakar Sinha ji, to share your thoughts, initial thoughts, a strategic approach to CSR and sustainable development, with focus on sustainable development. Over to you. Can we have a big round of applause to start with? Yes.
And thanks to the CIMP and the management for inviting us and engaging us in this very important conference. While we are talking about the CSR and SDG interventions, perhaps there are a couple of points I have scribbled down to share with you. So, SDGs, as we call it, the Sustainable Development Goals, are a comprehensive, well-thought agenda, policy agenda, targeting the entire humanity. And it was adopted by the UN in September 2015. It was mooted as an idea to tackle environmental, economic, and societal issues, challenges by 2030, because we have to target till 2030. Especially focusing on 5 P's: people, planet, partnering, peace, and prosperity. Now when we move, on the other hand, CSR is a very well articulated practice being followed for last several decades, and it is well in place now, especially under the Companies Act, section 135, I believe, it says very clearly. But what is required is a well-thought CSR strategy which can address both socio-economic growth and at the same time responding to the upcoming climate change and environmental sustainability challenges. So that is important, that how we align our goals to the upcoming challenges. While we know that the business creates job opportunities and monitoring growth, CSR investment need to encourage socially responsible and environmentally friendly actions. Especially, they have to be in sync with the ethical and philanthropic commitments. On the other hand, the SDG framework encompasses 17 goals and 169 targets, providing an ideal platform for CSR grants and investments. So I will stop here and will come back again sharing my thoughts on that.
Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I think it's a typical task, especially after lunchtime. And keeping you awake. Are you hearing me? Yes, sir. Thank you. I come from industry, and I have learned friends over here who's got all academic backgrounds and full of technical knowledge. I am not. I come from an industry who practices this, and I'll bring those thought process on this forum. I come from a Tata group of company called Tata Power, who has set up an organization called TP Renewable Microgrid. And this organization business model depends on these two factors, what we're talking about, CSR and SDG goal. What would be a good idea if these both are intermingled to form a business model which flourish on this basic concept? Tata Power has been a name who provides electricity generation, transmission and distribution to cities like Mumbai and Delhi and to other states, recently to Orissa. But we have been into the area of metros and we have been doing very well over there. But our generations were typically from thermal, which is the coal-based, oil, gas, and also on the hydro side. But the company decided that we are serving the niche segments. We need to go to bottom of the pyramid, and where we call the CSR as the underprivileged or underserved people. So this company is empowered and are decided to go to the rural markets. We call that Bharat. To those places where the power supply is not there. Our company has been setting microgrids, a small concept which is decentralized generation to feed power supply. And why we do this? Because this energy and the power are the bottom or the driving force for economic development. Now, there are various strategies we adopted. We'll discuss more of that. I'll take it forward to my colleagues.
Thank you very much, sir. So, for wonderfully explaining how your company is steering and spearheading the CSR, the basic principles of CSR in the current perspective. Now, may I please request sir to share his thoughts. Over to you.
Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon, friends. And at the outset, my sincere thanks and gratitude to CIMP and Dr. Jyoti, who was instrumental in bringing me here. Since I am a chartered accountant and company secretary, I will be dealing with the subject slightly in a different way. Because most of the experts who are sitting on the dais are either engaged themselves in the CSR activities or getting it done through. But this CSR is having a legal impact also. This is to be done as per the law. So I am more with that because I am the compliance officer of the company, so I have to ensure that whatever we are doing as per law. In fact, as far as Indians are concerned, in our DNA, Dhan and Seva is there, right from the ages it is there. In fact, in Hinduism, we used to have a concept of dharmada. Means the person who is selling the product, he is to charge and he is to equally contribute that same amount that is being donated to the society. That is discharging the social obligations. In Islam also it is there as zakat. In Sikhism it is there as dashhat. That means 10% of whatever they earn, they have to give it back to the society. More or less, all these communities are still complying with this particular thing. In fact, Tatas, Birlas are the two iconic families who were indulged and involved into the philanthropic and charitable activities since ages. In fact, in the morning, Dr. Siddharth was
Dr. S. Siddharth.
Yeah, he was mentioning about that King Jamshedji Tata about 150 years ago when he has what's called established the Tata Group. That point of time until date, if anybody remembers, for this CSR, it is Tata's which we remember. But there is a big difference in charitable and philanthropic activities and corporate social responsibility. Charity is not CSR. Why it is so? Because charity is at your own whims and fancies. If you want to do it, you will do it today. If you want to stop it tomorrow, you will stop it tomorrow. Whether you are an individual or whether you are a corporate, immaterial it is. At the same point of time, you can do wherever you feel like. Wherever you feel like, whatever the way you feel like. There is no structured approach as far as the charity and philanthropic activities are concerned. But it is a high time the government of India has thought that this is to be done in a structured way, in an organized way, in a consistent and continuous way. That's why the corporate social responsibility concept has been introduced in 2013 Companies Act for the first time. Not only introduced, it has been mandated also. There are certain companies which have triggered the thresholds of the turnover, net worth, as far as the profitability is concerned. Those companies, irrespective of the fact whether it is a private company or a public company, it has to spend that 2% of their previous average year, 3 years profits, they have to spend for CSR. And in case they were not able to spend the CSR, they were to explain that in the board's report. So most of the companies, what they did, they took that, they interpreted in such a way, not doing any activity, giving some cock and bull stories in the board's report. We are not able to identify the project. We are not able to execute the project because of some extraneous considerations, blah, 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 and all those things. Then the government has taken it very seriously, and Companies Amendment Act 2019, they went to this extreme of imposing criminal penal provisions against the board and the compliance officers for not complying with the section 135. But there was a big furor about that in the market because 3 years imprisonment or severe monetary penalties, ultimately that has been rolled back by Companies Amendment Act 2020. Now what they do is the moment you trigger the thresholds, the board is under a responsibility to constitute a CSR committee. That CSR committee has to comprise 2 independent directors minimum. Apart from that thing, the responsibility of the CSR committee is to identify the CSR activities which are falling under Schedule 7. You cannot do anything and everything. Again, which are the activities you can take up? Those activities are already there in the Companies Act itself. So you have to see the activities, whatever you are taking up, whether they are covered in Schedule 7 or not. After that, recently the CSR rules have been completely rehashed. What they say is there are 2 concepts have been brought in. One is CSR activities. Second is CSR as an ongoing project. If it is a CSR activity, you have to complete it within 1 year. If it is an ongoing project, you can complete it within a period of 3 years. If it is a CSR activity, you have to spend the money within that 1 year. Because earlier what used to happen was, people used to spend the money on 25th of March, they used to cut a check, they used to give it for CSR. They said, we are done with. Now, as per the law, it is not so. You have to execute that CSR activity prior to 31st March. By merely cutting the check, it is not sufficient. And the onus of responsibility for that has been imposed upon the CSR committee as well as the board of directors. If you are not able to spend the money for whatever the reasons it is, that money is to be transferred to that specified funds are there. Within 6 months of the closure of the financial year, the amount is to be transferred to the specified fund. If it is an ongoing project, and in the first year you are not able to spend the money, ongoing project means 1 + 3 years, 4 years maximum. If you have not spent the money in the first year, within 30 days of closure of the financial year, you have to open a new account, transfer the money in that. That means you cannot control that particular funds. You control to a separate bank account, that money is to be utilized and the interest thereon also is to be utilized only for that particular project. If you are not able to utilize the money within a span of 3 years, again you have to transfer that fund to the specified fund. Failing, in case this money is not spent like this or transferred like this, there are severe penal provisions are there. Double the amount is to be paid as a penalty. Apart from that, each and every board of directors are responsible for this. So I will take a pause here, and then over a period of panel discussion, as where the way the moderator put me the question about the legalities are concerned, I will be able to answer. Thank you very much.
Fine, thank you. Big round of applause for him. I think now I'll request Dr. Vivek Prakashji from Jubilant in review to share his presentation. He wants to give a presentation as his opening remarks. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ranaji. Thank you, CIMP, for giving me such opportunity. So since I am a practitioner, so all are experts here, but I am a practitioner. So I am working in the ground. I am executing CSR projects, as well as I am also giving advice to the company how to run this entire CSR thing. So I will go through a presentation and then we will discuss further.
Sure, please.
Yeah, so I'm from Jubilant Bhartiya Group, but prior to that, let me tell about myself. So I'm from this state. So earlier it was joint Bihar, so Bihar and Jharkhand. So I did my, in fact, labor and social welfare from Patna University in 91-93 batch. Then I joined one company. It's called KC Super Cement, based in Sasaram district. So it was a small period, 3 months, and then I joined Ambuja Cement. Spent there 7 years as welfare officer, and then further promoted to several other positions also. But after 7 years of working in HR, I took my transfer to CSR wing, and that time it was growing in other companies. So Tata and other big 2-3 major companies were having this community welfare department, community development department, but in other companies there was no such provision. So they were also doing their effort. So same way in Ambuja also they started their foundation to do something in and around their operation. So my interest was somewhere in that department. So I was associated, but after 7 years to work in that company in HR, I got opportunity to work in Rajasthan, where they acquired a company from DLA, and that was in fact my career shift in this sector. So in fact my entire family is into the social development, because my father was with he started his career with Ramakrishna Mission and Dibyan. So and he was since he is a agriculture specialist, so he was organizing training for youth. So that thing was somewhere in my mind. That's why I was associated with CSR wing, and then I shifted to actually the CSR wing of that company, that is Ambuja Cement Foundation. That time it was with Ambuja Cement Foundation. And then after 3-4 years, I got opportunity in Jubilant, where I established this department. Earlier it was part of sustainability wing. So Jubilant, Tata, there were 10 companies in India who started working on sustainability reporting. So in 2000, year 2000, CII formed a consortium of 10 companies in association with CII, and they started training to these organizations to how to work on sustainability and then reporting on that framework. That is called GRI, Global Reporting Initiative. So Jubilant was part of that consortium, along with Tata, Reliance, and ITC, SAIL. So 10 companies from various sectors: public sector, private sector, chemical sector, pharma sector, mining sector. So 10 companies were there. But when they started, they felt that so this reporting is on 3 major parameters, that is environmental, social, and economics. So they realized that Jubilant is a very good company. So on economic side, it's a very good in terms of shareholder return, not stakeholder, but shareholder returns. They are very good in terms of taxpayer, because they are very good taxpayer company. They are paying tax to the company. It means they are adding a lot of support to the economy, to the country. On other front, when they started working on these indicators on environmental, they felt that they are working on compliance part. They are very much compliant, and there are some improvement going on environmental thing also. When they came to social side, that is employees and society. So there are two components in under sustainability under social section. So first part is employees. On employees benefit, employees welfare, there were various policies in the companies, various schemes in the company. But when they came to the social community part, there were less intervention. There were intervention, but it cannot be measured or managed. So since it was not measured, it cannot be measured, reported also. So that was the challenge. They realized in 2001 when they started they released their first report. And then there was a lot of discussion within the company how to take care of this part, so social part of in the company, and make it measurable, so that if it will be measurable, certainly they can manage it. And then they started searching a person, experts from the market. They hired 2-3 persons in between. Finally, I got this opportunity in 2006 because I was part of sustainability initiative in Ambuja. So I got that training also, and I was implementing in the ground. That's why I got this opportunity in Jubilant. And from there, my journey with Jubilant started. So why I'm explaining this, because this is again a growing term in this country. Social welfare, community welfare, these were there in the society, in the corporate also. But CSR per se is still growing. But again, we are seeing a lot of changes in between. So I will go through a few slides. One. So this is about the group. I will not take much time. So this is a small group company. So there are various businesses in the group. Why I'm showing this? Because you can understand how CSR is integrated with each and every group company. So Jubilant Bhartiya Foundation is a not-for-profit arm of this group, which is responsible for conceptualizing and implementing CSR for the group, while all these companies are doing business. So mother company was, I think the people, you can remember, WAM Organics, then Jubilant Organics, and further it became Jubilant Life Sciences. Finally, 2 years back, it further demerged into two companies, Jubilant Ingravia and Pharmova. They are into pharmaceutical, chemical and pharma business. Jubilant Biosys, they are into biological research. Jubilant Foodworks, again, there is no brand in the market, but Domino's entire country is, for the South Asian countries, Jubilant is the whole and sole franchisee for Domino's, Dunkin' Donuts, and there are few more brands under this Foodwork. So there are multiple companies, but how to integrate the CSR, that is the job of this foundation. So I will go to next slide.
मेरा नाम कैलाश बेन है। मैं पसवा गांव में रहने वाली हूँ। मैंने शादी के बाद खेती काम करती थी और गाय भैंस रखती थी, उसका काम करती थी।
पिछले साल पैंडेमिक चालू हुआ, तो पैंडेमिक में बहुत सारी जॉब्स लोगों ने लूज की। उस दौरान हमें एक अपॉर्चुनिटी दिखी कि इसमें हम सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप वगैरह को काफ़ी सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं। सो ऑब्जेक्टिव ये था कि इन लोगों को हम कैसे बेस्ट यूटिलाइज कर सकें, इसको हम कैसे बेस्ट रोल दे सकें।
पहला हमें अलग अलग काम करता था, હવે પછી અમે બહેનોએ વિચાર્યું કે આપણે અલગ અલગ કામ કરીએ છીએ તો આપણે કેમ એક ભેગા થઈને કામ નહીં કરીએ। તો પછી અમે એક ગ્રુપ બનાવી નવું, તો અમે ભેગા થઈને કંઈ કરીએ તો કંઈક આગળ જઈએ। અમારો ગ્રુપ ચાલતો હતો, પછી એક જ્યુબિલન્ટ કંપનીમાંથી એક સાહેબ આવતા હતા, એમને કીધું કે આ રીતે આપણે ચાલુ કરીએ। તો પછી અમે બધી બહેનો મળી અને સાહેબને મળ્યા। પછી અમને કીધું કે આ તમે આ રીતે કરશો, તો અમે કીધું કે હા। પછી અમે બધા બહેનો ભેગા મળી અને પછી એક ન્યૂ કલરાઇઝર યુનિટ ચાલુ કર્યું। कंपनी से साहब आता था और हर महीने हमारे साथ मीटिंग करता था, तो साहब ने हमें बताया कि समलाया गांव में वो नीम का प्रोजेक्ट चल रहा है, तो आप नीम बेचकर और ज़्यादा पैसा कमा सकती है। हम घर का काम पूरा कर देते हैं और बाद में सभी औरतों इकट्ठी होकर बोलते हैं कि वो टाइम सही है। वो टाइम में हमें पत्ता तोड़ने के लिए जाते हैं और एक दो औरत नीम के पेड़ पे चढ़ती है, दूसरी औरत नीचे रह के पत्ता इकट्ठा करती है और साथ में घर आते हैं। घर पे आते ही पत्ता जो डालियों के साथ जुड़ा हुआ है वो अलग करते हैं और बाद में सुखाते हैं।
जैसे नीम आ जाता है, रिसीव हो जाता है, तो हम पहले यहाँ वेट करते हैं उसका। वेट में कहाँ से आया है, कौन सी औरत लाई है और कितना वेट हुआ है, वो हमारी लॉग बुक होती है जो हमारे सुपरवाइजर लोग हैं वो उसमें नोट कर लेते हैं। हमारे के यहाँ के जो लोग होते हैं उसको एक बार वो मटेरियल चेक कर लेते हैं और उसको सेग्रीगेट कर देते हैं। और जैसे ड्राई लीव्स होता है तो हम पहले उनको पल्वराइजर मशीन में डालते हैं, वहाँ से पाउडर निकलता है। उसके बाद हम उसका स्क्रीनिंग करते हैं। स्क्रीनिंग में जो पार्टिकल साइज जो बड़ा छोटा जो होता है उसके बाद वो पैकेजिंग में पहुँच जाता है।
जुबिलेंट भारतीय फाउंडेशन कंपनी अમને સપોર્ટ કરી રહી છે નીમ પલ્વરાઇઝર માટે, તો અમારી બહેનોને પણ સારી એવી રોજગારી મળે છે અને બહેનોનું ભવિષ્ય આગળ સારું પણ છે અને અમને ફાયદો પણ થાય છે અને બીજા કંઈ આગળ અમારે જવું પડતું નથી, અમે નજીકમાં છીએ એટલે અમને સારો ફાયદો મળે છે।
Our Jubilant Bharatiya Foundation team took this task to engage with women self-help group and establish entire value chain for this, starting from collection of neem leaves, its cutting, drying, pulverization and supply to the company. I would be very happy to see more such initiatives like this, where company can partner with the local community for procurement of product and services, so that company can contribute in the socio-economic development of the society.
It will be like a long journey which has started just now with the one pulverizer system. Going forward, we are going to expand it. This is the one segment of one self-help group which has started. Now we are going to do it in different nearby more villages. We are going to connect with more people and looking for a bigger production and other derivatives of that. Independently, people are doing their own job. They are looking for a bigger target as well as they are becoming आत्मनिर्भर।
ये काम हमें करते हैं तो गाँव वालों हमारी इज्जत करते हैं और घर पे आके पूछते हमें कि वो नीम कहाँ तुम बेचती हो और कहाँ से शुरू किया है तुमने, और बोलती है कि हमको भी पैसे कमाने हैं।
ये पिक्चर दिखलाने के पीछे एक मकसद थी, मुझे इस स्लाइड पे आना था। एक्चुअली इसकी मैंने एक पहले आपको दिखलाई ग्रुप कंपनी, इसकी शुरुआत कहाँ से हुई। जब तक आप लोगों के बारे में नहीं सोचेंगे, पीपल के बारे में नहीं सोचेंगे, जैसे सवेरे में मिस्टर सिद्धार्थ ने बताया, बहुत अच्छी चीज़ बताई कि जो कंज्यूमर है हमें उनके साथ उनके लिए भी करना चाहिए। सो बिहार इज ए कंज्यूमर स्टेट, तो क्या हम इसके लिए यहाँ पे CSR नहीं होनी चाहिए? क्या जो जहाँ पे आप प्रोडक्ट बनाते हैं क्या वहाँ पे CSR नहीं होनी चाहिए? हर एक, तो ये बहुत जरूरी है कि हम इकोसिस्टम को समझें एंड उसके अनुसार हम अपने डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करें कि हमें कहाँ क्या करनी है। लेकिन मैं हमेशा मानता हूँ कि 2% CSR इज नॉट CSR। ये आंख में धूल झोंकने की बात है। हमें बात करनी है तो हमें 98% की बात करनी चाहिए कि जो टाटा कर रही है, जैसे उन्होंने बताया कि जो बिजनेस है अगर वो हम लोगों के लिए करें, दैट इज CSR। कि आप बिजनेस भी करें तो लोगों के लिए करें, उनकी नीड के लिए करें। तो अगर हम बोले कि अगर 4P मॉडल है पूरी सस्टेनेबिलिटी की, कोई भी कंपनी अगर वो 3 चीजों पे काम करे तो जो चौथा P है वो अपने आप आपके पास आएगी। पहले है पीपल, प्लैनेट एंड प्रॉफिट। वो लोग जो आपकी कंपनी के लिए काम करते हैं, आप उनकी इज्जत करें, उनका ख्याल रखें, उनको अच्छी सैलरी दें, उनका हेल्थ का ख्याल रखें, दैट इज ऑल्सो CSR। वो भी आपकी रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, क्योंकि वही है जो आपके लिए प्रॉफिट लाते हैं, तो उनका ख्याल रखना आपके लिए जरूरी है। लेकिन साथ में वो लोग जो आपके प्रोडक्ट को कंज्यूम करते हैं उनके लिए भी आपको काम करने की जरूरत है। जो आपको सप्लाई करते हैं रॉ मटेरियल, उनके लिए काम करने की जरूरत है। जो शेयर होल्डर्स आपके पास इन्वेस्ट करते हैं उनके लिए भी आपको सोचने की जरूरत है। वो सारे लोग जो आपके इकोसिस्टम में है उनके लिए आपको काम करने की जरूरत है, तभी आप एक अच्छे सस्टेनेबल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बन सकते हैं। अगर आप देख लें पिछले इतिहास में कि कौन सी ऐसी कंपनी जो 100 साल से इंडिया में है, तो मात्र 2-3 नाम आएंगे, जैसे टाटा या बिरला, इनकी नाम आएगी, क्योंकि उन्होंने ये इन चीजों पे सोचा था, इसी कारण से वो आज भी हैं। और बाकी आज के तारीख में अगर कंपनी की लाइफ देखें तो एवरेज वो पहले अभी तक पिछले दशक तक वो 20 साल थी, अभी तो वो 10 साल ही बच गई है। मतलब स्टार्टअप आते 2-4 साल में विलुप्त हो जाते, कुछ कंपनी आती है वो 10 साल में खत्म हो जाती है, या कंपनी है भी तो उनकी प्रोडक्ट या सर्विसेज की नेचर चेंज हो गई है। आप किसी भी कंपनी का नाम ले ले, उनकी जो प्रोडक्ट, इवन अगर मैं बोलूँ टाटा मोटर्स, जो टाटा मोटर्स की पुरानी कार थी, क्या आज भी है क्या? वो मार्केट में नहीं है, उन्होंने चेंज किया। अगर वो चेंज नहीं करेंगे तो कंपनी चेंज हो जाएगी, तो उन्होंने भी समय के अनुसार चेंज करी। आप ईवी की बात अभी वो कर रहे हैं क्योंकि वही फ्यूचर है, तो अगर वो चेंज नहीं करेंगे कंपनी चेंज। तो हमें लोगों के लिए सोचना है। और इसके जो नेक्स्ट है वो प्लैनेट है, कि जब अगर हम कोई भी बिजनेस करें, कोई भी धंधा करें, चाहे छोटा करें या बड़ा करें, अगर हमने ये सोच लिया कि नहीं, हमें जो प्लैनेट है उसकी रक्षा करनी है, उसको बर्बाद नहीं करना है, जितना जरूरत है उतना ही रॉ मटेरियल ले, तो वो वही CSR है। मैं CSR ये 2% को नहीं समझता हूँ, ये 2% मैं अभी भी बोल रहा हूँ, ये आंखों में धूल झोंकना। नेक्स्ट है प्रोडक्ट या सर्विसेज, ये भी सब उतना ही ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है। आप जैसे मैंने बोला 100 साल पुरानी कौन सी कंपनी है जिन्होंने लोगों के लिए प्रोडक्ट बनाया या लोगों के लिए सर्विसेज शुरू करी, जो जरूरत थी समाज में उसके लिए काम किया। अगर आप देखें कभी रिसेशन आएगी, सबसे पहले किसकी मार होगी? जो फैशनेबल प्रोडक्ट बनाते। भाई अभी हम एक बार अगर हम डिजाइनर कपड़ा नहीं पहनेंगे मेरी जिंदगी चल जाएगी। अगर हमें कोई फैंसी खाना, कोई लेविश खाना नहीं खाएंगे तो भी, बेसिक खाना तो हमें खाना ही होगा, लेकिन वो नहीं खाएंगे तो भी मेरा काम चल जाएगा। इसका मतलब रेस्टोरेंट वाले परेशान हो सकते हैं, बड़े रेस्टोरेंट वाले, क्योंकि वहां लोग हो सकता है नहीं जाएंगे। तो ये जो लग्जरी लाइफ है उसके लिए जो बिजनेसेस कर रहे हैं, शायद वो उनकी बिजनेस डाउन हो सकती है, लेकिन उनकी बिजनेस जो लोगों की जरूरत के लिए करते हैं, टाटा नमक भी आपको याद होगा, सबके दिमाग में वही है, तो भाई वो नमक भी बनाते और प्लेन भी चढ़ाते। तो ये आप समझ लें कि वो इसी कारण से वो मार्केट में है, क्योंकि उन्हें लोगों के अनुसार प्रोडक्ट डेवलप करे, उसको मार्केट में एस्टेब्लिश किया। वो पहले भी थे, आज भी हैं और आगे भी कई सालों तक रहेंगे, अदरवाइज वो मार्केट में नहीं होंगे। तो ये दिमाग में रखना है कि और अगर ये 3 चीज अगर किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने रख ली तो निश्चित रूप से जो नेक्स्ट जो P है, प्रॉफिट है, वो अपने आप आएगी, और प्रॉफिट ही सस्टेनेबिलिटी का कारण बनेगी। और दूसरा, कोई चीज आपको ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को सस्टेनेबल नहीं कर सकता, तो प्रॉफिट तभी आएगी जब ये बाकी 3 चीज। नेक्स्ट बाकी हम लोग और मैंने इसलिए रखा ये पॉइंट क्योंकि ये जितने बच्चे हैं कल को कहीं ना कहीं वो किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में जाएंगे, अपनी लाइफ करियर की शुरुआत करेंगे, फिर आगे लीडर बनेंगे। जो फ्यूचर है समाज के, किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के या कंट्री के, वो आप हैं। अगर आप लोगों ने इसके बारे में, मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि आपको सस्टेनेबिलिटी हेड बनना है, जैसे सर सवेरे आए थे तो मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ आप सस्टेनेबिलिटी हेड बने। सस्टेनेबिलिटी वो नहीं देखते, सस्टेनेबिलिटी एक एक आदमी देखता है। जो मैं अगर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की बात करूं, मैं CIMP की बात कर रहा हूं, कि जो आदमी का व्यवहार होता है, जो उसकी, वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कैसी है। अगर जैसे फिर से मैं अभी नाम ले रहा हूं, अगर हम लोग बोले कोई एक एम्प्लॉय अगर इंटरव्यू के लिए हम लोग बुलाते हैं कि वो टाटा का एम्प्लॉय, तो लगता है यार इस आदमी के अंदर जरूर एक वैल्यू सिस्टम होगी। इसका मतलब उसने, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने उसके ऊपर इन्वेस्ट करी है, वो आदमी के व्यवहार पे, उसके स्किल पे, हर चीज पे, तभी वो हमें लगता है कि वहां से आया है तो जरूर उसके अंदर वो वैल्यू सिस्टम होगी। सेम डे कल मुझे एक ड्राइवर ने रिसीव करी एयरपोर्ट पे और वो मुझे यहाँ छोड़ा, उसके वहां से यहाँ तक की जो पूरी व्यवहार थी वो इतनी अच्छी थी, वो शालीन था। चाहे वो बातचीत करने में कभी एक जगह वो मुझे देर हो गई, वो वहीं पे रुका रहा। उसने कभी नहीं बोला कि सर आप ये लेट हो गया, ये मुझे जाना है, सर मैनेज कर लूंगा, मैं सर को बता दूंगा। ये जो चीज है वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, देखिए वो कल हम लोग एक, शायद मुझे लग रहा शेखर जी बता रहे थे या कोई एक टीम में हम लोग बैठे थे सामने, तो उन्होंने बोला कि सिंगापुर में जो ड्राइवर्स हैं वो उनको ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है कि, और बोला था कि भाई यू आर द ब्रांड एम्बेसडर ऑफ सिंगापुर, क्योंकि लोग आते हैं घूमने के लिए, तो वो सबसे पहले हम उनको ही फेस करते हैं। ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में अगर कोई गेस्ट आ रहे हैं तो आपके जो व्हीकल जा रही है वो आपका ब्रांड एम्बेसडर, अगर वो आदमी सही नहीं है तो आपकी पूरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की इमेज खराब हो जाती है। ये हमें ख्याल रखना है कि हम
कंक्लूड योर रिमार्क्स प्लीज।
तो इन चीजों पे हम लोग अगर ख्याल रखेंगे, इसीलिए मैंने सोचा आप सबको बताऊं कि फ्यूचर आपके हाथ में है, आपको ये 3 चीजों का ख्याल रखना है, और निश्चित रूप से आप किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में जाएंगे वो सस्टेनेबल होगा। थैंक यू।
Thank you so very much. Big round of applause for such a marvelous presentation.